Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Right, before I go any further, a quick welcome to Joe Minella, who has subscribed to the channel. Thanks very much for subscribing, mate. Much appreciated. Hope you're enjoying the content. There is a Facebook group attached if you enjoy just chatting and bantering about new, old films, movies, anything. Just pop over and hit the join button, and obviously you'll be accepted straight away. And we're a pretty friendly bunch. I think you'll enjoy it. So if you do fancy doing that, the link I believe is in the bio. There's also an Instagram page and also a website that I started a few years ago, which there are links to that as well. So as I say, welcome to the channel, Joe, and hope you enjoy what we're doing here. Next thing is a quick apology for anything that I may miss today. I had to work yesterday, which is normally the day that I put all the notes together and start copying and pasting bits and pieces. I literally had to chuck this together within an hour last night. So if I've forgotten to shout out to anybody, or if I've forgotten to do something that I promised I would do this week or come back to, I do apologise. I will be carrying bits and pieces over from the notes from last week onto next week, if that makes any sense, including Higgis, which I am up to date with. I watched the latest episode, which is, I believe, is Retrovember, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I have got notes here somewhere, but I've not had a chance to pop them onto the notes on screen here, so I will be talking about that next week. But I have watched it, and I will be commenting a little later so that you know that I have actually watched it. But anybody else, if I've forgotten to mention you, or I've not shouted out, or I've not talked about your videos, please forgive me for this week. I believe the work thing comes to an end, or as far as the overtime on Saturday goes, comes to an end this week, but time will tell. It does tend to get a little bit busy towards Christmas, being in the retail sector and this, that and the other. So there are times that I will need to work weekends and this, that and the other, and I'm hoping that this won't suffer. It certainly won't today, that's for sure. But as I say, if I have forgotten to mention or talk about anything that I promised I would, I do apologise, and just bear with me. I will come back to it within the next week or two, I promise. So right, I'll start with comments. We'll start with David. Morning, David. What are your thoughts about Game of Thrones coming to the big screen? I had no idea it was. This one's gone under the radar. I loved Game of Thrones, the series. Absolutely adored it. I've not read the books, and I've not watched, I've got to admit, House of the Dragon, which I believe is either a sequel or a prequel or a reboot or whatever. Not seen any of those. But the original series I really enjoyed up until probably the last season, which I think was a bit of a damp squib. I think everybody would pretty much agree with that. But bringing it to the big screen, that's going to be epic. Is this going to be, I wonder, some kind of a replacement for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I think they've pretty much filmed everything that was filmable as far as Tolkien goes, so maybe they've been looking for something to take its place, and Game of Thrones sounds about right. It's a little more adult in content, I'm sure, than Lord of the Rings is, but I had no idea it was happening, David. I will be taking a look at it, obviously, because I enjoyed the series, depending on what it's all about, whether it's going to be, as I say, a sequel, a reboot, a prequel, or whatever. But I will almost certainly be taking a look at it. So I wouldn't say I'm overly excited about it, because the Game of Thrones thing, as far as I'm concerned, has sort of been and gone. And as much as I enjoyed it, I'm not that bothered about watching the movie version, but I will take a look at it, absolutely, because I think it's going to be one of the biggest movies of whatever year it's released. So I'd be pretty silly not to at least take a look at it. But that's my thoughts on that one. Thanks, David, much appreciated, mate. It was brilliant to hear from you. Keep the questions coming. Roy, morning, Roy. I've got two comments from Roy, one from the week before, one from last week. Let's start with one from the week before. Hi, Tony, thanks for the shout out, much appreciated. You're more than welcome, mate. High Noon is fantastic. I'm sure you'd enjoy it. It plays out in real time and keeps getting more and more tense. This is one I've meant to take in for many years. Whenever it's been on TV, I've always not avoided it, but always missed it. So I will be grabbing a copy of that, and I shall let you know what I think of it when I've watched it, but I'm fairly sure with it being a black and white western, I think it's going to be awesome. So I think we're safe to say that. I'm jealous of your Straw Dogs Blu-ray. Would love to upgrade my DVD. Quite heavily out of print, I believe. I don't know. I was actually looking on Amazon uh, not long after I bought that Blu-ray down to show off. I think it is still available, but I think you're looking at about 30 quid, which is probably what I paid for it a few years ago. It is a US import, but the one that I've got, if you grab the same one, is region free, because obviously my player won't play American region A discs, so I know it's region free. Um, I reckon we are in for a re-release of that at some point. It's been kind of ignored over the last few years as far as sort of re-releases goes, and I reckon we're due for one. So I will probably hang in there. But if you wanted to get one, I would definitely go for the one that I've got that I showed you because it is a good copy. On to last week's comment. Morning, Tony. I will be watching. Oh, I will be watching in snatches when I can. It was a bit of a long one. Oddly, I have a large Buster Keaton collection and love him, but I've never seen any Chaplin. Don't work too hard, Tony. I didn't. My boss ain't watching. um, I'll show you a couple of bits. This is the Chaplin collection I can show off at another point because I've got quite a few Chaplins. But at the same time, I was looking at certain other silent comics that I really, really want to get into, sort of Fatty Arbuckle. I've got a Laurel and Hardy collection, Harold Lloyd, that kind of thing. And I did grab a couple of Buster Keaton movies. Now, you've probably already got these, or if you've got others, let me know what you've got, because I will be moving on to those when I finally get round to recommencing the Chaplin journey. And I come to an end with that one, which could take a while, the way it's going. These are the ones that I've got. I've got a Blu-ray called The Great Buster. I believe this is a documentary, and it's only maybe a year or two old. And I spotted this and thought, you know, if you want to know more about him, this is the one to go for. And then I grabbed this one. These are still in the cellophane. Buster Keaton, A Hard Act to Follow, award-winning documentary. So that will tell me even more about the great man. And this, the Buster Keaton Chronicles. Now, is this 28 movies from the genius of silent comedy, the greatest filmmaker from the silent era, Empire magazine, that says. And there are quite a few on here. I'll show you that, but I don't know whether you can see it because it's bloody hard to read. But they're the only Buster Keaton ones that I've got. So I'd be very interested in any video that you want to show us regarding which DVDs you've got of Keaton's, because I will certainly be grabbing copies of them. There's one or two of Chaplin's that I've not been able to get as yet. Can't remember what they are. I do need to go through a list of his movies, but there's 3 or 4. I think most of them are feature-length things. I believe A Woman in Paris is one. What's that other one? Can't remember. There's a small handful that I need to grab, but Keaton, I reckon there's quite a few that I need to get, because I'm fairly sure that collection I've just shown you is probably not as comprehensive as it could be. So I'll leave that with you. If you want to do a video, show me what Keaton movies you got. I'd be very, very interested in seeing that. So thanks for that, Roy. Much appreciated, mate. It was brilliant to hear from you. Keep the questions coming. Stuart, morning Stu, great video, mate. Tea bags behind the TV. I knew that one had come back to bite me on the arse. I don't know why. I must have sat down in the chair to look at them when I bought them back from work and just put them by the side of the TV, and they've kind of edged their way behind to the point where I didn't even see them. And when I was clearing the cabinet off last week to show off all the bits and pieces that were on there, I spotted this box and thought, what the hell is that? Pulled it out. It's this, as you've seen, this box of out-of-date tea bags, which have now been thrown. By the way, I did try one. They were 5 months out of date, and inner piece is obviously not eternal because it tasted frigging horrible. So they've all been thrown away. Let's see, what Christmas movies are you looking forward to watching this year? I'll show you in a second. Dave Lowe replied to that one. I'm looking forward to watching Red One this year. I can't believe it's out at the cinema already. I refuse to watch it this early. If it's still in the cinema this time next month, then I will see it. Otherwise, it will be um, a watch at home movie. Loved the trailer for that, by the way. I've got to say, it doesn't look very festive, but it looks bloody good fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching that. And as for that Blair Witch Project box set, Dave, I can't wait to get mine. As soon as I saw that and looked at the photographs and read your description, I couldn't hit the buy it now button fast enough. So that's on its way to me, hopefully within the next couple of days. But I can't wait to see what's in that hardback book. That looks amazing. I reckon that'd be worth the money on its own. Just the extras, all the cards, the paperback book, the hardback book, all the extras on. I think they're on a separate disc, aren't they? So it's going to be well worth the money. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Christmas movies, Stuart. Let's see. I show these off every year, so you guys have probably already seen this. So just talk amongst yourselves for a minute while I show Stuart which ones I'm going to be watching. I go for these pretty much every year. There are a handful more upstairs that I watch probably every 2-3 years or whatever. But these are the ones that I will probably watch over the festive period, as I do every year. Obviously, the classic Santa Claus the movie, starring Dudley Moore. Just superb, pure Christmas. This one I watch every year without fail whilst making the Christmas dinner. It's become a bit of a tradition over the last few years, and I can't see it ever changing. White Christmas, Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, and what's the girl's name? Can't remember. It doesn't say. Oh, Rosemary Clooney and Vera Ellen. So yeah, that is watched every single year without fail whilst making the Christmas dinner. A few now that I remember watching as a kid and still love watching now. The Holiday Collection, Charlie Brown. I never get bored of these. Charlie Brown's Christmas. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, which is the Halloween one that I watched a couple of weeks ago. And a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Never get bored of them. They're just magic. Love them. And this one I remember watching as a kid. It just takes me back to being about 6 years old again. Santa Claus is coming to town. These are the old Rankin Bass animated things. It's hard to describe them unless you've seen them. Roy, I bet you'll remember these, and I'm sure Stuart, you'll remember them as well. But I love that. And the other one, which is a similar sort. Oh no, I've got 2 or 3 more, but they're obviously still upstairs. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I think, is one. Frosty the Snowman is another. I do love things like this. All-Star Comedy Carnival. Jay, you'll be interested in this one. This is basically something that used to screen pretty much every year in the early 70s, and it was just a series of sketches from popular TV sitcoms of the time, Christmas based. And you got sort of sketches from On the Buses, Says Les with Les Dawson, The Fen Street Gang, which was the sequel to Please Sir, Love Thy Neighbour. Yeah. Let's see, Doctor in Charge, and there are many more. Hosted by Jimmy Tarbuck. To put this on will instantly transport me back to about 1973, because my mum and dad used to love stuff like this. So that will be going on. I've not actually watched it yet, and I've had it a few years. This one, before Paul Daniels and David Copperfield and all those other magicians, there was David Nixon. And again, I've not watched this yet. It's a network release, so I don't think it's available anymore. Christmas Magic, over 100 minutes of festive fun, music and magic. The tricks that he used to do are obviously not on the scale of David Copperfield or Paul Daniels, but back again in the sort of early to mid 70s, this guy ruled the airwaves as far as magic tricks went. He was like your granddad. That's what he reminded me of. But I'm definitely going to be watching that this year because I've not seen it yet. And Jay is another one you'll be interested in. You may already have this. Classic ITV Christmas comedy. This is Christmas episodes from various sitcoms. What have we got here? The Dustbin Men, Please Sir, On the Buses, Nearest and Dearest, Billy Liar, Two's Company, Stanley Baxter's Christmas Box. That was a regular. My dad used to love that. The Rag Trade, Bless Me Father, The Army Game. That's an old one. George and the Dragon. That's another old one. Only When I Laugh. Hallelujah, Duty Free, You're Only Young Twice. I used to love You're Only Young Twice, Home to Roost and Watching, and there are quite a few others on there as well. As I say, it's just festive episodes of Christmas TV. And the one that I watch every Christmas Eve, as well as Bing Crosby's 1977 special starring Twiggy, Ron Moody, and all that lot in a sort of a Scrooge sort of takeoff. And it's also the one that he did. Let me get this right, because Jason corrected me on this one last week. Or was it the week before? It wasn't Little Donkey. It was Little Drummer Boy. That's right. He did that one, and that's the special I'll be watching. And this one. This to me is perfect Christmas entertainment. This is ultimate Christmas. I know the Muppet Christmas Carol is, and I know Home Alone is, all that. But for me, every tea time when Rob goes over to visit his family, I will put this on because I love it. The soundtrack is glorious. The songs are brilliant. Albert Finney is the perfect Scrooge. This just never gets old for me. And to watch, well, to go through Christmas Eve and not watch this, and The Snowman, and Bing Crosby, unthinkable. So that is part of my Christmas lineup for this year, Roy. So that pretty much, Stuart, sorry. It's going to be one of them, isn't it? So thanks for that, Stuart. Keep the questions coming, mate. Much appreciated. Brilliant to hear from you. Steve Mack. Morning, Steve, our Criterion guy. I have Bronco Bullfrog. We were talking about this last week. It's a BFI Flipside Blu-ray. The actors were found at Joan Littlewood's acting course. And then you went on to say, have actually bought some titles directly from Criterion in their flash sale. It's the first time I've used a forwarding company in the US. All went well, and I have Pandora's Box and Demon Pond. Also their release of the Long Good Friday. I wanted this as there are some different features from the Arrow release. I have the original Quadrophenia in 5.1 surround. Sounds brilliant. I bet it does. I may take a look at that Criterion sale. As for Demon Pond, I managed to grab this. Now this, believe it or not, is a Christmas present. I've been lent this by a colleague at work. Her husband absolutely adores Japanese cinema, and I mentioned this movie to her and said, I've listened to a review of this from a guy that subscribes to my channel, and he reckons it's amazing. So she ordered it for him, but I think this is a German import. It also includes the movie Pale Flower, but I've got 3 weeks to watch this. I've got to give it back because she wants to wrap it up. Her husband loves Japanese cinema. So I'm looking forward to watching this, and when I do get the chance to take a look at it, I'll let you know what I think. But from what you said, I think I'm going to enjoy it, and it'll be a good start to my Japanese cinema journey, which will probably stall just like the Australian cinema one did. So thanks for that, Steve. Much appreciated, mate. Brilliant to hear from you. Looking forward to watching your Scarface review, by the way. I've never seen the original. Never seen it, but always wanted to, so I'm going to be taking a look at that in a bit. And also, Sam, I'm going to be catching up with your videos, and I know I say this every week, but please just bear with me, guys. I've not had much time. As I say, Saturday is the day that I do my notes, and I also try to catch up on everybody's content while I'm doing it, and I didn't have time to do it yesterday. This was all thrown together very, very last minute. So, Sam, I do apologise. I'm going to be catching up with your videos. Also, Scott, who's been karaokeing like crazy over the last week or two, and also everybody else is including Steve. So thanks for that, Steve. Brilliant to hear from you, mate. Jason K, our Ginger Ninja. Morning, Jay. Thanks for the birthday well wishes. You're welcome, mate. The ghost tour went well. He went on a ghost tour for his birthday. Unfortunately, they don't allow video, but I did get some pics. Also took some last year. They're all on my Instagram. I'll take a look at those. This time, however, we came across a massive eastern brown snake. Yes, a deadly one, but it left us alone. See, this is Australia for you. You risk your life just landing at the airport, going into the city. Eastern brown. You see, we don't get things like that over in England. We've not got really. I think the most poisonous snake we've got is the adder, and it's up in the Highlands, so we don't get stuff like that. And then in the haunted church, as if that wasn't bad enough, a bat landed on my arm. The tour guide was shocked as that had never happened, and also that I was so calm was a lot of fun. I can think of much more fun things to do than have a bloody great bat land on me. They don't particularly bother me, and I did see a video probably 2 or 3 weeks back on YouTube of somebody that was basically trying to convince everybody that bats were cute and sweet, and this, that, and the other. And the way the thing was filmed, they did look quite adorable, but I would not want one landing on my arm unannounced. Scream like a girl. Um, 31 movies in 31 days. It was a challenge, but fun too. I think you can see where it begins to wear me. Tell you what, let's start that again, shall we? 31 movies in 31 days. It was a challenge, but fun too. I think you can see where it begins to wear me down. Oh, that's where I tripped up over the word begins because you spelt it beings. That's what threw me. I think you can see where it begins to wear me down. I've not watched any of them yet, mate. I did watch your review of Anaconda last night, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But I've got a note of all of those 31 films, and I want to check the trailers out for all of them. And see which ones I want to take in. Cooties was Elijah Wood, and it's a fun one. I did watch the trailer for that a few nights ago, and it looks awesome fun. I'm thinking of grabbing the Blu-ray because I think it's only about £7, but it looked brilliant. I don't know how old I was, but I was young when I first watched Children of the Corn and Creepshow. I may have been 9 or 10. I turned out mostly fine. Gee, do you think? What did I watch at that age? 9 or 10. I think the most frightening things I watched at that age, because there wasn't anything about. You're talking about sort of 1971, 72. So the only things I could really see that we would class as horror is stuff that I did watch, like a movie called The Night Caller from 1965, which scared me rigid. Watch it now, it looks absolutely ridiculous. The Quatermass Experiment, that was another one. Curse of the Fly was the one. Oh my God. I only got about probably 20 minutes into that one. And I basically went to my mother and very sheepishly said, am I okay to go to bed now? I don't want to watch anymore. I'd have been about probably 10, something like that. But if you've ever seen Curse of the Fly, again, an utterly ridiculous film, but it looked horrible at the time. There was one sequence where he actually changes into the fly. You don't see it, but the camera pans across the room, and you basically see him lying on the bed, and what looked like on his back were wings. And it just goes to show that what you see is not what you actually see. And for years I thought, I want to watch that scene again where he turns and you can actually see the wings. They weren't wings. What he was lying on was one of those piping duvet things that you used to have in the 70s. Anybody that was around will remember them. Their nan always had one of these things, and they had these sort of zigzag parts. I thought they were the fly's wings, and that's what terrified me and actually made me feel quite ill. So I can safely say I've been terrified by a duvet. But there was that one. There was Quatermass in the Pit, which was on one New Year's Eve, and me and two other lads about the same age as me, so I'd have been about 9 or 10. While all these people were around us getting boozed up and having a laugh, we put the TV on and started watching Quatermass in the Pit. And even with all the lights on and everybody around us just basically getting pissed, we still found it utterly terrifying. The scene where the ground is moving under the guy that's lying on it, my God. But again, this is the kind of thing that scared us. So if I'd have watched something like Children of the Corn or Creepshow, I'd have been traumatised for life by that. So, Sam Smith, who the fuck is that? Oh, that overblown wanker. Who cares what he has to say? Quite right. What a prick. He just irritates me. Every time he opens his mouth, I just want to tear his tongue out and sew his lips up so we don't ever have to listen to him again, either talking or singing. And I've never really forgiven him for destroying that Bond theme, the worst Bond theme in the history of Bond themes. We were used to having James Bond themes being belted out by the likes of Paul McCartney, Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones, Nancy Sinatra, and then you get this whining little girl, Sam Smith, singing "Writings on the Wall" or whatever. It was fucking horrible. And then to listen to the tripe he comes out with nowadays, he's just one of these people that oh no, don't get me started, please. I know we just had your least favourite, but what's the 5 worst movies that you have ever watched? I mean, bad movies, crap acting, dodgy special effects. You know the ones. And what movies do you feel are completely overrated? Leave that with me, Jay. I need time to think about that one. I'm sure I can come up with something. It's difficult for me because even bad movies I don't like slagging off, because they're basically somebody else's life's dream, their work. So I don't feel comfortable talking about, or basically saying that movies are bad. But I'm sure there must be movies, if I think, that I've not particularly enjoyed, and I've certainly seen some that are what I would class or what you would class as overrated. So leave that with me, mate, and I'll come up with something on that one. Um, Big Daddy, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, all fun Adam Sandler movies. I did enjoy 50 First Dates, I've got to admit, and I've also been recommended one called Blended, which I'll be taking in at some point. Chillerama, ha ha ha, good luck. Am I going to need it for that one? It looks utterly ridiculous, but I will be taking it in, that's for sure. And I will let you know what I think when I've done that. Great vid. Have a great week. Thanks, Jake. Much appreciated, mate. Always brilliant to hear from you. Have I got time for my... Oh, my... Oh, is it a big one? I've got Mark, so I've got 4 minutes. Let me see how far I get with this. Mark, morning, Captain. Morning, Mark. I think it was Chris who first mentioned the Raid movies, but they are both good. Ultra violent, but really good, apparently. I've heard them described as bone-crunching nightmares. Yeah, didn't do a good job of selling me that one. Shutter Island is another great movie. Not sure how you didn't understand it, though. The last 10 minutes of the film is them going back through the film, explaining what actually happened. It was a long time ago, Mark, and I do need to take that one in again. And I'm fairly sure, I hope anyway, that it will all click into place by the end of it. But we'll see, and I will get back to that one. I've never heard of Willow Creek, but the best found footage movie I've ever seen is the McPherson tape. Proper weirded me out when I was younger, that one did. Willow Creek is a brilliant found footage movie to do with Bigfoot and a couple that go into the wilderness to try and find them. And unfortunately, they do find them. As for the McPherson tape, you're the only person I've ever met that has ever heard of this movie. I saw it also many years ago, and it did creep me out, really creep me out. And when you think about it, it was probably the first found footage movie because it preceded Blair Witch Project by about 7-8 years at least. It was absolutely amazing the way it was done. I've described this to many people and they all say the same thing, basically, that I don't get it, what's so scary about that? But you've got to watch it. I watched it with the lights out one night and I'd never seen anything like it. Yes, it did weird me out, especially that final scene, and I'm not going to tell you what it was because you've seen it, but a lot of people haven't. But that final scene in the farmhouse, my God, that haunted me for weeks. But I'm really pleased that somebody has heard of the McPherson tape and it's not just me. Yes, my daughter is 11. She's actually been badgering me all week to get the third Terrifier on the dodgy stick. Also, number 2 is on Prime for free, so I need to download it, mate. And not that anybody on here will be on TikTok, but my daughter has a TikTok account where she does her own little movie reviews. I'd be curious to take a look at those. I can imagine most of the reviews are to do with horror. I'd love to see a review of Terrifier 2. I'd be curious to see what an 11-year-old actually makes of that. Yeah, let us know. Ask her to pop one on the group. We'll take a look. I know I've said this before, but my mum is a Stephen King fanatic. So when I was my daughter's age, I was watching all the Stephen King movies like Carrie, Christine, Thinner, Misery, bloody hell, Salem's Lot, Pet Sematary, Christ, Sleepwalkers and The Langoliers. So that's probably why I'm not concerned about my daughter watching horror movies. In my opinion, they're not real. It's just that today's generation are a bunch of overly sensitive pussies and want to cry about everything. I couldn't agree more. And all of a sudden you've actually sold me on the idea of an 11-year-old watching Terrifier 3 or 2 or whatever it is. Again, it's what you grow up with, isn't it? As I just said, I grew up with a very different form of horror from what you guys have sort of grown up with, and I would imagine it does desensitize you a bit. The worse the movies are. As for everybody being bloody great crybabies. I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. It does my head. You know how it winds me up, censorship and all that sort of thing. So I would never ever dream of saying to you should not watch this, you should not watch that. You watch whatever you want to watch and whatever you feel comfortable with. And if you're all right with it, then fuck everybody else. So yeah, I get that. My brother Jason was named after Jason Voorhees by my mum. Most people don't believe me, but it's true. I believe you because I can well believe anything you tell me. Tell work to do one, mate. Same time next week. I think so, yes. So, right, I've got a couple of replies from Jason on Terrifier 1 and 2 to what Mark's just said, but I'll come back to that in just a second. So I'll be back in a tick. And we're back. Right, where were we? Just read out Mark's comments, and I've got a couple of replies here from Jason to what Mark was saying. Jason said, I think Terrifier 1 and 2 are free on Prime, and number 3 is on the stick now. I have no interest in watching them. They don't do anything for me. I like a story with my horrors. I do quite agree. You know my views on it. I'm just not really good with overly graphic violence and horror. It just does nothing for me. This is why you won't catch me watching things like The Human Centipede, Hostel. I have seen the first Hostel movie, and I do remember it was a lad at work that recommended it to me and said it's not that bad. And I watched it, and I got to the part where they slashed the guy's heels. Well, I didn't realise it was near the end, and I told him how far I got with it because I says I couldn't watch anymore. And he says, "You daft sod, you were only about 5 minutes away from the end." So I'd obviously missed something major at the end. I didn't bother watching anymore, but I'm just not really good with things like that, and I can't see the point in watching a film that I'm just going to be doing this with or this with. Half of it you miss. I'd much rather watch something that's psychological, something that gets in up here and won't go, like the Blair Witch Project or something like that. But each to their own. The early Stephen King movies are brilliant. They are, absolutely. I loved them. Shitter Island is brilliant. And even better on the second and third watch because you know what's going on. Saying that it's been about 3 years since I watched that, so I probably... Saying that, it's been about 3 years since I watched it, so probably forgot about it now. I will definitely take another look at it, because I do remember enjoying the film. I just also remember the end confusing me, but again, it could have been the time I watched it. Mark says, yes, Terrifier 1 and 2 are both on Prime. I thought the first one was okay, but I turned the second one off after an hour. Also, Shitter Island, I'll have to take a look at that one. Yeah, same here. Mark, you weren't missing much. You really weren't. Ask your daughter; she'll tell you. She probably enjoyed it a lot more than you did. Jason, you were talking about X and Pearl as well. Watch X, Pearl, and Maxine. You were talking to Mark in that order. Loved how they were filmed to make them look like the era they are set in. X is a slow starter, but then kicks in and is brilliant. Same with Pearl. If you'd watched Pearl and not X, you'd have turned it off after 30 minutes, but because you know the story, you don't turn it off, and it turns out to be brilliant. Same with Maxine. I ordered X and Pearl on Blu-ray as soon as I'd watched them, and I don't buy that many movies no more. I'm very strict with myself, unlike someone we know, A. Who are you talking about? Who is this guy? I've been very restrained this week, as you'll see very shortly. I will definitely be taking X, Pearl and Maxine in. I've got them all on Blu-ray, and if you've bought them, they must be good. So I will budge them to the top of the watch list. Now, You're Never Seen It, Mark, was The Fly. Now, forgive me if I read this one out last week. I can't remember. This is what you get when you cobble things together at the last minute. Well, I did attempt this a few weeks ago. This is the 86 Cronenberg version. Well, I did attempt this a few weeks ago, and I turned it off after not even half an hour, as I thought it was boring. But then Jason pointed out that I'd not even seen him turn into the Fly yet. Pretty much the point of it, I think. So I thought, you know what, you're right. I need to give this another go. So I did, and I made it to the end. Yes, it got better, but I still wouldn't watch it again now that I've seen it. 6 out of 10. I mean, I bought it the other week, but whether I'll actually get round to watching it at any point soon, and whether I'll actually watch the arm break, I don't know. But I do remember watching that in the cinema and being absolutely horrified when that happened, because it was the last thing I expected to see. But this is Cronenberg for you. You know what I mean? You pays your money, you take whatever he gives you. So thanks for that, guys. Much appreciated. Guy, morning, Guy. Great vid as ever, matey. Cheers, mate. Is it me, or was your lighting different this time? Looked brighter than usual. It did. What it is, we've got a couple of wall lights which are normally turned off, and I always put the main light on. But I had them all on last week, and I was glowing by the looks of it. So I've not put the main light on. I've just left the two wall lights on and the little desk lamp, which hopefully is a little dimmer. It must have looked. Yeah, well, I saw it, so I know exactly what you're getting at. So yes, it was. You were quite right. Loved the What's by My TV section. Hilarious. Now crack on with watching it all, especially Knight Rider. I will, I promise you. The VHS tape I mentioned on Higgis was my copy of Cliff 'Em All by Metallica. It was released in tribute to Cliff Burton, the original Metallica bassist who tragically died in a tour bus crash. It has some excellent performance footage. I also have a VHS tape of the legendary IWA King of the Deathmatch tournament signed by Mick Foley himself, that will never, in capital words, never, capital letters, never be sold either. Not familiar with either of those, I'm afraid. Thanks for the Higgis, love. I think you will enjoy Retrovember. I've already watched the first episode, as I say, and I will be talking about it next week, because I made extensive notes on that one. I loved your choice of movies, by the way, for that first week. So I will be coming back onto that. I don't want you to think I've forgotten about it. Keep up the good work. Try again with Hendrix. He did some amazing songs and changed guitar playing forever. Have another go. I will. What I'm going to do is try and track down some sort of a documentary, because the way I get interested usually in new artists, and I know he's not a new artist, but new to me, is by watching a documentary of their life, which usually sort of persuades me to take a look at some of the actual performances. He's just somebody that I never got. It just sounded like a complete and utter racket to me, but maybe I've watched the wrong performances. I saw him at Woodstock, not live, before you all say anything, not live. But I have seen the movie Woodstock, and he was at that. I can't remember. Is there a better one to look at? Tell me, and I will definitely give Hendrix another go, because I think, being the legend that he is, I need to at least give him a fair go. So leave that with me and let me know if there's anything that I should be taking a look at. Looking forward to seeing if there's going to be a Tony time next week. You've answered your own question there, so thanks for that, Guy. Much appreciated, mate. Always brilliant to hear from you. And now, the amazing Callie. You might as well settle in for this one, guys. It's Tony time. Morning, Callie. If you like Jackie Chan movies, I can highly recommend Police Story, the original, as there is a sort of remake for the 2000s. Amazing stunts from start to finish. I believe I've seen Police Story 3. I'm sure I was lent that quite a while ago, and I watched it and thoroughly enjoyed it. But as for the original, the first one, I don't think I have seen it. So I'll try and track down. There was a 3-disc set of the 3 movies. I believe there are 3. So I might try and track those down, because every Jackie Chan film that I've ever watched, I've really, really enjoyed. When it comes to the Dead films, Dawn and Day are my favourites. Dawn for the setting, Day for the bub. The best zombie ever. Yeah, Day I need to take in again. And I do know what you mean about Dawn of the Dead. There's something about that shopping mall that just draws me back to it time after time. I wonder if it's still there. I think it's partly the setting as well, because it looked like it was out in the middle of nowhere. It just looked an amazing place. So yeah, I totally get that, Kelly. 1954 Godzilla is a masterpiece, a true landmark film, and if you've never seen it, get it watched. I will, I promise. I believe it's been released on Blu-ray and 4K within the next few days, so I may just treat myself to that one. Close Encounters, great film, needs a rewatch at some point. I can't say any more about Close Encounters than I've already said. It is just completely wonderful. You know what? I've never seen Straw Dogs. Need to correct that. I think you'll enjoy it, if enjoy is the right word for a movie like Straw Dogs. I think you will get a real kick out of it. It's obviously got the troublesome rape scene sort of 3/4 of the way in, but the actual drama of it, it's just, and the final 15 minutes, bloody hell. Again, I'd never seen anything like that, but I would definitely recommend Straw Dogs if you've not seen it before. The Devils, never seen it. Would you like The Devils? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. It is as grisly as you can possibly imagine. It's typical Ken Russell, everything amped up to 11. The violence in it is nasty. There's one scene that I literally still can't watch. Um, it's just amazing. Read up on it and then see whether the concept of it interests you. I think you'll get on with it. I reckon you'll enjoy The Devils. I've also got a couple of books on the controversy that it caused when it came out, and I'm not surprised it caused a stink, mostly with religious groups and Mary Whitehouse, which hardly comes as any surprise. But I definitely recommend The Devils if you've not seen it. Saturday Night Fever, never seen it but love the soundtrack. Saturday Night Fever is amazing, my second favourite movie, and the soundtrack is awesome. At least 2-3 times a year that will make it into the car, and I will listen to it probably for 2 weeks solid. A Clockwork Orange, well then, that there is a true Kubrick classic and a career-defining performance from Malcolm McDowell. I can't see him in any other role apart from that. I know he was brilliant in Blue Thunder. He was good in If, the Lindsay Anderson movie. There are no end of it. I need to look at his filmography and see what else he's done. But to me, Malcolm McDowell will always be Alex in A Clockwork Orange, and it is just one of my all-time favourites. I would say that's my number three, if I had to name it. Inception. There's another one for Callie's never seen. You'll probably love it. You'll probably come out and say an absolute masterpiece. It did nothing for me because I didn't understand it. I didn't get it at all. I totally agree. On Christmas, it's not like the old days or just 20 years ago, waiting for a film to come out or the first time it was shown on TV. We've lost that along the way with the invention of streaming services and having everything at our fingertips. It has kind of spoiled us a little. Gone are the days of waiting a week for a new episode to drop or waiting a year or more for a film to go from cinema to TV. Kind of makes me sad when I think about it. It's not the same, is it? And it really isn't. The excitement of realising that a movie was coming out on sort of DVD or VHS, and it's like a year or two down the line from when you watched it at the cinema, and you'd been looking forward to it for months. Now, a new film at the cinema, you can stream it usually within 2 weeks of it opening at the cinema, and it has kind of lost the mystique and the magic, which is a shame. But yeah, it does kind of make me sad as well to think about that. Films you changed your mind on. Rocky, same as you. I'm not a sports fan, but I've come to love them over the years. The wisdom of getting older, I guess. I just never expected to enjoy them, which is why I avoided them for so many years. But as soon as I watched them, the first thing I thought was, why is it taking me so long to watch this? Rocky was superb. Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all good. All good movies. Even the one that everybody hated, which I think was Rocky 5, it got a right panning. I quite enjoyed it. I've seen, I think, Rocky Balboa and the sequel to that, but the Creed movies, I think I've only seen one, or is it two? So I've yet to catch up with those. But the Rocky movies, superb. The Big Lebowski, never seen it, but I've heard good things. Guy's going to be on to you about that one. It's one of his favourites, and I can see why. It didn't do an awful lot for me the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it, I totally got it, and I loved it, absolutely loved it, and I will be watching it again. But yeah, I think you'll find Guy's got something to say about that. Squirm, another one I've not seen. If you like 1970s animal attack movies with a slightly harder edge, I would say Squirm is one to go for. Really, really good. Jason hates it. He's got a thing about worms, the same as I've got a thing about spiders, so you won't see him watching Squirm again, but I would definitely recommend it. The Last House on the Left. Seen the original, but not the remake. The remake's really good. The original I thought was grimy and horrible. I don't think I will ever watch it again. The only reason I've held on to the Blu-ray, which I can't find upstairs now, is of all the extras and the documentaries and all the bits and pieces on it. If it had been a bare bones Blu-ray release with just the movie and a couple of bits, I'd have probably have given it away after I'd watched it. But yeah, not good. Let's see. Oh, I've lost my place. Carrie, loved it first time I saw, still love it now. Pure classic. Absolutely agree. Again, didn't do much for me the first time, but even I can't deny that is a complete masterpiece and one of Stephen King's best. And as Jason said, one of his earliest, and absolutely brilliant. Um, let's see. I think I've seen Dark Skies, but not sure. I'll post the trailer, and if I think on, I'll find the Blu-ray upstairs and I'll show you what it looks like. But it's an amazing film. It just unnerved me. Really, really unnerved me. Spoiler, Supernatural is already back on Prime, apart from season 15 for some reason. Is it free though? The last time I looked, probably about 2 weeks ago, they were charging, I think it was £15 for a season. If it's free, I will almost certainly get into that. Even if it's one episode a week, I will definitely get into that because I really enjoyed the little bit of the episode, the pilot that I watched. Really enjoyed it. Just to update, I don't hate the remake of The Crow because it's a remake. I hate it because it just looks shit. It looks to me. It just looks like a standard reboot of a classic movie, which is why I won't bother watching it because I only saw the original probably 3-4 months ago, and I really enjoyed it. I can definitely see why that movie sings out to you. But I saw the trailer for the remake and thought, well, what's different apart from they're going to make it more violent? That's pretty much it. So I don't think I'll be making a beeline for that one. Shatner versus Spiders. Okay, may need to watch that. You do, honestly. As I've said before, animal attack movies of the 70s is one of my favourite subgenres. Um, and Kingdom of the Spiders is just one of its finest examples. And Shatner is just so hammy in it, you can't help but love it. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend Kingdom of the Spiders if you can get hold of it. How in the name of Jupiter's balls have you not seen Dark Crystal? For the same reason I've not seen a lot of other 80s movies. Just never got round to it. I know what it is. It's like a Muppet horror show or something, isn't it? Sci-fi thing. I will take it in. I'll add it to my watch list and I'll see what I think of that. I've noticed that streaming services removing Halloween right before Halloween night. Why? Why do that? Well, this is what was puzzling me. It was just the one thing that I wanted to watch, and I couldn't be asked to get or to hunt out the Blu-ray, which I've got upstairs somewhere. But all I wanted to do was just log on to Netflix and watch it, and I couldn't because it wasn't on there. And I thought it's been on there before. I know it has. I know I've seen it on there recently. And I thought, when I saw it, I thought, no, I won't watch it now. I'll save it for Halloween night. And guess what? It had fucked off by the time I looked. So, best Dracula ever. Think that might have to be an episode of Higgis at some point. That would be a good one. Again, Dracula, you could do a whole episode of that easy, I should think. Let's see. Unfortunately, I only have the one VHS, but I will never part with it. Is that the Alien Resurrection one that you were telling us about? I've got quite a few and I do need to start showing them off. That might be an idea, actually. Thanks for the Higgis, love, honey. As Guy said, hopefully you'll love our little Retrovember 4-parter. I've enjoyed the first one no end, and I've got no end of notes, and I loved the choice of movies and TV programmes that you came up with. Can't wait to see what's coming up for the rest of the month, and I will be talking about that next week. But rest assured I have watched it. Crap. Sorry. Cracking episode as always, hon. Time to get my day started. Looking forward to the next episode. Thanks, Callie, much appreciated. And he put PS. Oh, and Adam Sandler movies. Little Nicky, he's the son of the devil sent to Earth to stop his brothers. One of my favourite films. Stop his brothers from doing what? I do need to catch up with some more, and I've got some recommendations. Some from, I can't remember, I read some out earlier, and I think Jason's got some. So thanks for that, Callie. Always good to hear from you. Keep the questions coming, and I will be catching up with the. Oh no, I'm already caught up. What I'm trying to say, in my own clumsy ways, I'm looking forward to the next episode of Higgis, and I can talk about both of them at the same time next weekend. So have a good week, Callie, and it's good to hear your good news, by the way. Really, really pleased about that. It's been a long time coming, but you got there in the end. So, right, Jason P. Morning, Jay. Always a pleasure to watch your videos, and I love it when they are more than an hour long. Thanks, Jay. Really much appreciated. I do love doing the long ones. It's just I haven't got time to do them at the moment, even though I found time to do it last week because I finished work a lot sort of earlier than I thought I would. But it is what it is. If I've got enough to talk about, I will carry on. But if, like yesterday, I've had to throw it all together sort of last minute, it doesn't work for me. It really doesn't. And I know that I've missed things out and people out and this, that, and the other. So, as I've said before, please forgive me if I have forgotten to mention it. I'll do a couple of shout outs. Well, tell you what, I'll do it now. Morning, Sam. I've not caught up with your videos yet, but I intend to. And also the Scott. So a big shout out to everybody that I've not mentioned this week. Please know that I haven't forgotten you. I just need to get my routine back, and working on a Saturday is not part of that. So, yeah, much appreciated, Jay, and I will keep the videos coming. Obviously, late viewing tonight as we've been out for a curry. Oh Lord. All that stuff from your TV cabinet. For fuck's sake, how big's your cabinet? Do you have room for a TV on there? Cheeky sod, yes. It's all back on there now, by the way. It wasn't the 7-foot giant in Pebble and the Boy. It was someone else I know. Oh, we're on about somebody else. I thought you were on for that on about that geezer that you know. Inception is one movie I will never watch again. Confused the fuck out of me. I'm glad it wasn't just me. Every now and then, when I get these movies, I think, is it just me? Am I just getting old and thick? But no, Inception was just utterly confusing. Callie, I'd be curious to see when you get round to watching it, what you make of it. But to me, it was just, oh, what happened? What was that all about? Real head scratcher. Let's see, 77 Extra hasn't been announced yet, so you won't have pre-ordered it yet. Oh, that's the yearbook, isn't it? The CD. Looking forward to that. Adam Sandler. Blended, Wedding Singer, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Grown Ups 1 and 2 are my recommendations. Blended has already been recommended to me. Happy Gilmore, a colleague at work, recommended that one to me. So I will be getting on to those. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I believe is ... My least favourite alongside Never Say Never Again, Thunderball, although Never Say Never Again is a Thunderball remake, so that's why they are both in the bottom end of the scale. Also, Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace are also my least favourites. At the top end, Casino Royale I really enjoyed. Quantum of Solace I've only watched once and I can't say I enjoyed it that much, but I do need to take it in again just to make sure I've not got it wrong. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is absolutely my all-time favourite Bond film, and I don't know why, I just love it. Let's see, at the top end, these are the ones that you do like. Number 1, Live and Let Die, as it's always been. The first Bond movie that I ever saw at the cinema, my mum and dad took me to see that one. So yeah, I do get that one. 2, all Roger Moore movies. All of them. 3, Skyfall, Spectre and No Time to Die. Yeah, definitely. 4, Pierce Brosnan Bonds. If I had to pick a least favourite Bond, it would probably be Pierce Brosnan, but don't hold me to that. And in the middle, Timothy Dalton's and the rest of the Connery ones. I think it's what you grew up with too. It is, absolutely it is. My first Bond film that I saw at the cinema would have been Live and Let Die. So it would have been my first Bond film ever, thinking about it, same as you. But you watched yours on TV, which got me into watching the double bills, because they used to, in the summer holidays, they used to put a Bond on a double bill, and it was usually 2 Connery movies. I remember going to see Dr. No and From Russia with Love and loving them, absolutely loving them. So yeah, it is what you grew up with. My favourite Bond has got to be Connery, without a doubt, because he's the first one that I saw on a double bill. I just love him, absolutely love him. My first introduction to Bond was Live and Let Die, as we've said. Then Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker. Then it would have been Octopussy, which is my second favourite Roger Moore one. Then I'd have carried on watching the Bonds as they premiered on ITV. It wouldn't have been until the early 90s, believe it or not, that I watched the Sean Connery ones and the Lazenby one. I can well believe it. Can you believe that Lazenby was 29 when he filmed on Her Majesty's Secret Service? What the fuck, he looked about 50. 29, really? I've got a book all about the making of it. I need to dig that out. I had no idea. No, I didn't know that. 29. And he did look a lot older. Must have had a rough life. Never seen next. Oh, never seen your never seen thread. Next year will be like Terminator 2 to this year's Terminator. They're all big, well-known films, and I'd say you have recommended, without knowing it, at least half of them. But what do I start with? That will be my dilemma. I'm just glad it's carrying on, mate. And if I've inspired you to watch anything, and this goes for all of you, I'm really, really happy. The movies that I have seen over the years that I am passionate about, that people have never seen, I do like to talk to them. It's my ultimate dream, as I say, just to, you know, persuade somebody to watch something that I think is brilliant, and they come back to me and say, that was amazing, you're so right. So that's it for this week. Thanks, Jay, much appreciated, mate. Have a good week. You're never seen it for this week. Amistad from 1997. In 1839, the revolt of Mendi captives aboard a Spanish-owned ship causes a major controversy in the United States when the ship is captured off the coast of Long Island. The courts must decide whether the Mendi are slaves or legally free. I thought this was okay. It wasn't the best film I'd ever seen, but I did enjoy it. If you can enjoy a film about slavery. Your opinion bored the shit out of me. That's all I have to say on this one. I had a funny feeling you were going to say that, actually. Mark, you said, nope, never heard of this one. No surprise there. Roy, I have to watch this on the... sorry, I have this to watch on the shelf. Heard it's an underrated Spielberg gem. It's one that not a lot of people have heard of, and I don't know why, because it was quite successful in its day when it was released, as I remember. But yeah, I'd recommend watching it, but obviously not to Jason. Not now, definitely not. But yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, Roy. I think you'll really enjoy it. So you'll have to let us know what you think on that one. Let's see, Gareth. Morning, Gareth. You posted a picture of Tonight on Wogan, Terry Wogan's chat show, and it's me. While Terry is away, Tony Harris will be interviewing Sam Smith and the Gallagher brothers. All right, guys, what should I ask these dickheads if I did have a chat show and I was filling in for Wogan? What questions would I ask, apart from why are you people such wankers? Which I probably wouldn't get a straight answer to, but yeah, there's your question for this week. What am I going to ask the Gallagher brothers and Sam Smith? Sam Smith, definitely. Why are you such a twat? Right. Very quickly, I shall run through the 3 items that I have bought this week, and I believe that's it for this week. Let's see. First one, Mark put me onto this one. You were basically telling me that watch the original movie in this franchise, watch the second one in this franchise, but don't bother with 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I didn't know there was a 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, but I did manage to grab this, Tremors 2. I've got Tremors, which... do you know what? I think I said I'd seen it, but I'm not sure whether I have. Whether it's one of these that I've seen bits of, I don't know. Whether I've actually put it on and watched the whole thing all the way through, I don't know. So this would make a good double bill with that. And it would also make a good first-time watch, which I've yet to start. I'm going to class 50 First Dates as my first time watch. So I will be doing a little review, like you guys do, of your first time watches on the group, on the Facebook group, and maybe make Tremors the next one. So thanks for the recommendation on that one, Mark. This one's thanks to Callie. Somebody else on the group didn't like this, and I can't remember who it was. But I read the synopsis of it. I remember seeing the VHS in the video shop when it came out. Never appealed to me. Didn't bother with it. It's gained cult status, The Burbs. So I do listen to you, Callie, I do. Looking forward to watching this one. This is a definite first time watch for me. I've never seen this. I don't know anything about it apart from the fact that it's to do with weird neighbours. That's pretty much about all it is. But yeah, that's that one. And finally, I'm starting a collection of these while I can still get them. I showed one off last week, and I've now got this one. Look at Life. This is volume 3, Science. There's still number 8 that I'm struggling to get, but the rest of them I think are still readily available, so I'm going to try and grab one a week until I've got the full set of 6. I think I've got 7 now. and then I'll have a full set of them. I absolutely love these. These are just short films that were shown in cinemas before the main feature. Just 10 little minutes of, basically British life. It doesn't say what's actually on these, but you would know them if you saw them. Talking Pictures screen these all the time. And I Sky Plus every one and watch every one because they take me back to a simpler time, a gentler time, a time that was better, basically, for me. So these basically do give me a warm, fuzzy feeling when I watch these. So I'll be getting more of those. So that is pretty much it for this week, guys. That is all I've got. So I'm going to call it a day. If anybody out there knows somebody that's still letting fireworks off, basically tell them from me that you are complete fucking dickheads and we're all sick of fireworks now. Yes, November the 5th, we had to put up with it all night. And despite the fact that I've got some nice relaxing music for the dog to listen to, she's still distressed. We're not distressed, we're just pissed off with them. So from the firework hating world, please fucking pack it in. We've had enough now. We really have. You know what I mean? Put your fireworks away till next year. I know you won't because you're just dickheads. So that's me rant for this week. There was another one which I've got at the top here, but I'm going to save that one for next week. Just something that happened this week and I thought, bloody hell, why? I'll come back to that. Right, have a brilliant week, folks. Thanks ever so much for joining me, and thank you, as always, for your continued support. It is so much appreciated. If it wasn't for you guys watching these things, they wouldn't exist. So thanks ever so much to all of you for tuning in and just listening to me rambling for an hour about fuck all. So have a brilliant week, folks. Again, thanks for joining me, and I will be back again, God willing, next week. Take care. Ta-ra.